Howdy, readers. I'm Jason. This is Chapter and Verse, and I'm coming to you today with a book haul. So I went to a library book sale here in town the other day. This is the first library sale that I've been to since I would say late 2019. Now, in the past, I've only gone to bag sales, right? Like, there's nothing like a bag sale, right? You can bring in your own big reusable bag, like you would take to the grocery store, pay $5 to bring it in, and then fill it, right? I mean, as full as you can get it. This time, because of the pandemic and whatnot, they were doing things a bit differently. So they had 3 days during which they had 2-hour windows blocked off, okay? And they were taking reservations, right? So only 25 people were allowed to make reservations for any given 2-hour window. And I think I had the third 2-hour window on the first day of the sale. And it wasn't a bag sale, so you paid $20 just to get in. And then after that, it was $2 for hardcovers and $1 for paperbacks. So I figured, well, I can do that, right? I mean, $20, like if nothing else, I'm donating $20 to the library. The library needs our money, needs our support. And I reasoned that there would be a wealth of good stuff, right? Because it seemed to me that over the last 2 years, people were probably donating a shit ton of books, but they weren't able to have library sales for a big part of that. And so I thought, man, like, okay, there's going to be just a wealth of stuff to choose from. During a bag sale, I would take in 2 bags and I would fill them both up, and I would leave a bag sale with probably between 24 and 30 books usually. But anyway, so I took a $20 bill to get in, and I had my debit card with me, and I took in 2 reusable bags because I was like, I'm planning on buying some damn books, man. It's been a long time since I've been to one of these. So that's the plan. So I get in there, and it was disappointing, to say the least. I don't know why this is, but they had probably, I'm not even joking, they had probably half of the fiction that they usually have, right? Contemporary literary fiction. Probably 50% of what they usually have. So that was disappointing. I mean, I even like looked through the DVDs and the Blu-rays, and I looked through sections of books that I don't usually pay any attention to at those things, because I was like, damn, I paid $20 to get in here. I'm going to get as much stuff as I can, but I didn't want to buy things just to buy them, because I was paying for each book. It wasn't a bag sale again. So I ended up not buying much at all. I had a list of things that I was looking for, and I was just keeping my eyes peeled as well for good stuff that we didn't already have, or that I knew we'd been looking for, what have you. The only thing off the list that I was able to get for either myself or Kelly, Kelly wanted a reading copy of Les Mis, because the copy we have on our shelves here at home is just like a giant hardcover, and it's difficult for her to hold, particularly in bed. And so I found this for Kelly, right? And it seemed to me that the print, while small, was not too small. But yeah, it's a mass market of Les Mis. It's a brick. It's unabridged. The spine is completely unbroken, so this has never been read. And so that was nice to find. But yeah, I mean, to give you some idea, so my brother wanted me to look for him a nice hardcover of Station 11. Should have been able to find Station 11 in good shape at a library sale. That's one of those books that there are millions of copies of out there. And they had a few paperbacks, but yeah, like they were from a reading club kit at the library, and like the edges of the pages were stamped Natrona County Library. And it's like, no, that's not what my brother wants. So wasn't able to get that for him. And another thing, like there are certain writers you always find at library sales. you just always find their books, right? There's always Philip Roth. There's always Marilyn Robinson. There's always Margaret Atwood. There's always Salman Rushdie. There's always Cormac McCarthy, Ian McEwan, Joyce Carol Oates, etc., etc. And there wasn't any Margaret Atwood at all. None. There was no Salman Rushdie. It's probably the only time I've ever been to a library sale where there was no Salman Rushdie on offer at all to speak of. So it was weird and it was disappointing. But I did get some stuff, and I want to share that with you. So the first thing is I got the hardcover of A Flood of Fire by Amitav Ghosh, and this is the third book in a trilogy that he wrote. The first book is Sea of Poppies, and Kelly and I have that in hardcover, signed. And I wasn't sure if this was the second or third book. Turns out it's the third book, so we still need River of Smoke. So at some point, I'm going to need to get online and find a really, really nice condition hardcover that matches these covers of River of Smoke to complete the trilogy. And then maybe, at some point on the channel, I'll do like I did with the Cromwell novels. Maybe I'll do like a 3-month readathon of the, or I guess read along is what it would be, of the Amitav Ghosh trilogy. So, if any of you have the hardcover of River of Smoke, right, in this style, and it's in perfect shape, etc., and you want to part with it, like you read it and you didn't like it, or you're never going to get around to it, or anything like that, let me know in the comments below, and we'll see if we can work something out. But anyway, so I picked this up. So that was a nice find. Let's see, I got a couple other books there that I picked up at a used bookstore yesterday. I'll show you those afterward. I picked up Willa Cather, Double Lives by Hermione Lee, biography of Willa Cather. Cather had a really interesting life, and I've never read not even a kind of short, kind of abridged sort of 10-page Cliff's Notes biography of her. I've never read anything like that. Just what I've learned about her in articles that I've read over the years has fascinated me. So this was good to find. Again, there were a number of biographies I was looking for. Plath stuff that I don't own. I've been wanting to get the Mary Queen of Scots biography by, I think it's Antonia Fraser, ever since my friend Paul years ago let me and the booktube community at large know how good that book was and how much he loves it, but they didn't have that. But this was the only biography that I found that was of interest to me, and it's in really great shape. I picked up, and this has a couple of stickers on it that I'll be able to get off, no problem at all. But I picked up Small Wonder, collection of essays by Barbara Kingsolver. And Kingsolver is an author that I've still yet to read. And but she's been on my radar forever, and I've wanted to read her forever. And I thought this was a really beautiful edition. And I really love essays about the natural world. And the illustrations, it has illustrations. These kind of illustrations in a kind of greenish blue ink that are really lovely. Where's another one? Yeah, so there's an illustration of a little box of nails and a newspaper. So I thought, that's worth picking up. So I got that. And then I got this Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition of The Quiet American by Graham Greene. And Greene is a novelist I've only read 2 books by. I think I've read The End of the Affair a couple of times. I've taught The End of the Affair. And then I read Brighton Rock just before I started grad school. And but I've seen the film of The Quiet American, and I quite like it. And so when I saw this, and it's in really, really terrific shape, I thought this was one that I needed to grab. Now, the last book that I'll show you from the library sale was the find of the day. This is a book that I read a number of years ago, probably 6 or 7 years ago. And it was chosen in our book club back then. And I was intrigued about the book, and had been since it was longlisted for the Booker Prize. And I had been intrigued about the book since then. But I was sure it was going to be a book club killer. Okay, now there are books that kill book clubs. Okay, William T. Vollmann books can kill a book club. If somebody in a book club is their turn to choose, they choose Finnegan's Wake. That will kill the book club. And I thought this was going to be a book club killer, but it wasn't. We all read it and we all loved it, right? And it's funny, we all kind of figured out how to read it right around the same page mark. It took us all about 20 pages to figure out how to do this book, right? Like how to understand it, right? Like the language of it, the vernacular of it kind of slotted into place for us all around the 20-page mark. And that is The Wake by Paul Kingsnorth. This is an absolutely magnificent experimental historical novel, and it's never been read. I mean, this is in perfect condition. I love the matte finish on this. I love the cover design. This is a book that I have almost bought at full price many times over the years, and would gladly pay full price for it. So to find this for $1 at a used book sale in central Wyoming is just, it was so unexpected. It was so crazy. My hunch is what happened is that somewhere along the way somebody picked this up new in a bookstore. They read the back of it and they're like, oh man, that sounds really good. Philip Pullman has a blurb on the back. Mark Rylance actually owns the rights to this. It'd be really, really cool if they eventually made a film of it. But then I imagine the person got home, cracked it open to try to start reading it, right, and read the first page, and we're like, oh, fuck all, man. Did I really spend $16 on this, $17 on this? And then put it down and never picked it up again. Because it's a challenge, to say the least. Let me see if I can show you. Let me see if you can read that, if you can see that. Probably not very well. Let me try reading this to you. The night was clear, though I slept I seen it. Though I slept I seen the calm, heard not only the still. When I gone down to sleep all was clear in the land, and my dreams was full of stillness, but my dreams did not keep me still. When I woke in the Merrigan all was blake, though the night had gone and all would be blake after and for all time. A great wind had come in the night, and all was blown then and broke. None had thought a wind like this could come, for all was blithe leafin', as they always had, and who will hear the gleoman when the tales he tells is black? Who looks at the heofen if it brings him rain? Who looks in the mirror when there seems no end to its dampness? None will look, but the wind will come. The wind cares not for the hopes of men. The times after will be for them who seen the comin'. The times after will be for the wake end. Yeah, it's a cool book. It's a really cool book. It has an extensive glossary at the back, because Kingsnorth, he created quite a lot of vocabulary for this thing, and a lot of it, I mean, you can figure out, right? So was Heofen is heaven. A lot of it you can figure out once you have the word, like you have the word throughout. But a number of the words are invented, right? And so you need to look them up and be reminded constantly of what they mean. But yeah, like when you first try reading this silently, you're just like, holy shit. But and this was true of me. I think it was, if I remember right, it was true of Kelly. It was true of a number of us in the book club. Like when you read some of it out loud, you're better able to kind of pick up on the rhythms, and the rhythms are really everything with this. And but yeah, this is just a tremendous book. And let me just read you the back of it here in plain English. In the aftermath of the Norman invasion of 1066, William the Conqueror was uncompromising and brutal. English society was broken apart, its systems turned on their head. In the wake, a post-apocalyptic novel set 1,000 years in the past, Paul Kingsnorth brings this dire scenario back to us through the eyes of the unforgettable Buckmaster. a proud landowner bearing witness to the end of his world. Accompanied by a band of like-minded men, Buckmaster seeks revenge on the occupiers. But as the men travel across the scorched English landscape, Buckmaster becomes increasingly unhinged by the immensity of his loss, and their path forward becomes unclear. Yeah, it's remarkable and wonderful. This is the kind of thing that I would be completely open to doing as a buddy read with somebody, or as a read along at some point in the future if a number of you wanted to read, because it's the kind of book that you do kind of need. You need companionship through, right? Having people reading it with you, people with whom to talk about it, makes it easier, makes it more accessible somehow. So if any of you would be interested in a either a buddy read or a read along of The Wake by Paul Kingsnorth, let me know, and I will look at doing that, because I'd love to reread this. This is also the first book in a trilogy as well, a thematic trilogy. So this is set 1,000 years in the past. The second book, which I have not read, is set in the present day. And the third book, which I have not read, is set, if I remember correctly, 1,000 years in the future. So so that might be kind of cool to read all three of those actually together. Let me know if you'd be interested in that. And then the last things I wanted to show you. So that's all I picked up at the library sale. I mean, that's all there was that was really worth getting. So Kelly and I went to our local used bookstore yesterday to see if we might, I don't know, I mean, find anything worth picking up. And the used bookstore, the prices there really piss me off, right? So if somebody brings in a $16 trade paperback, no matter what kind of condition it's in, they will sell it for half price. So it'll be $8 for a used book. And all we got yesterday were two trade paperbacks that I found, and they were like $7 or $8 each. And they're both by John Williams. So picked up Stoner by John Williams, New York Review of Books classic series. Many of you know this book, right? This was a book that was rediscovered, 15 years ago, something like that, and has since become a proper classic. Last I knew, it was scheduled to be made into a film directed, I think, by Joe Wright. At the time, it was by Joe Wright. Was going to star Casey Affleck, but I don't know where that project is at now. But this is just a beautiful, beautiful novel. It's the kind of book that, I mean, the main character in this is he's just an ordinary man, right? He's just an ordinary, plain, soft-spoken academic, and the novel is not kind of full of event or anything like that. It just tells the kind of quiet story of this man's life, and it's so freaking beautiful and so moving, and it's the kind of novel you wouldn't in a million years think could bring you to tears, but it does. It brought me to tears anyway on a couple different occasions. I think it's magnificent. It's cleaned up a little bit. Looks like there's some kind of sticker residue here and there on it, but otherwise, I mean, it's in really perfect shape. And then the other one of John Williams that I picked up, and I think he only wrote 3 or 4 books, but I got Butcher's Crossing, his Western, which has just finished shooting. It's going to be a film starring Nicolas Cage. Probably going to be out later this year. Been wanting to read this for a long time, so that was really, really cool to find as well. Would have been even better if they had been $3 or $4 each instead of $8 each, but you know, what are you going to do? But yeah, it's in perfect shape, so wasn't gonna turn this away. There were quite a few New York Review of Books classics there at the used bookstore and at the library book sale. But again, I mean, most of it was the only other one that I almost bought, which was at the library sale, was The Fountain Overflows by Rebecca West. But you know, I've never really had a hankering to read that. I really want to read her book. Was it Black Lamb and Gray Falcon, I think it's called. That's the one of hers I really want to read. I was hoping to find Nightmare Alley there in that series, but no luck. But anyway, so yeah, a handful of books picked up here in the last few days. If you have read any of these, let me know. And yeah, it was nice. It was nice to be back in that setting, even though it wasn't a bag sale. It was nice that it was a limited number of people. in a pretty large space, right? Like no matter kind of where you were in your shopping process, you were pretty well distanced from anybody, and so that was nice. And of course, I had my mask on. Nobody else had their masks on at the library sale because we live in Wyoming, and people in Wyoming just really don't give much of a shit about each other. I've learned that over the last couple of years. So anyway, those are the books that I picked up. I hope you're all doing well, and I will talk to you guys again very soon. Adios.